What it was like reading the last episode for the first time.
Like the different stages you went through.
I mean, it's pretty much one stage.
Okay.
Just... That's it.
Yeah, were there actual like palpable moments of this cast and crew at that last table read? Like, I mean, not to give anything away, but I'm assuming there's moments where you're like,
of course,
yeah,
it's going to be a terrible last season. I'd just been like deadpan, like nothing happened.
Yeah, it all works
Have you
out.
shot your final scenes yet, and are you happy with how things ended? Yeah. She didn't say yes. Best season ever.
I told you what would happen if you betrayed me.
You did.
Lord Varys, I, Daenerys of House Targaryen, first of my name, breaker of chains and mother of dragons, sentence you to die.
See the reactions of those who knew him. Tyrion is heartbroken. Jon is disturbed. Grey Worm sees this as the just execution. Dany steps forward and kisses the man she loves. A perfect kiss. Their eyes closed, his hand behind her head, her hand on his cheek. Dany's eyes open suddenly as she draws a sharp breath. Jon's eyes open as well, already filling with tears. For a moment, neither moves, as if moving will make this real. We see Jon with his hand still on the hilt of the dagger he just lodged in Dany's heart. Kneeling down to the floor beside her. He looks down at what he's done, terrible and necessary. End of Game of Thrones.
What's up, everybody? Today I wanted to talk about the disaster that was heartbreaking. That it was season 8 from Game of Thrones, such a potential, one of the best TV series ever created, went down the drain at the very end because the writers dropped the ball. No, the writers and producers of the show just rushed it all, didn't really give these characters proper development, and it ruined the entire story, in my opinion. For me, I wanted to do this video earlier, but to be honest with you, I'm so heartbroken because I was so invested in this character, so invested in this series, and it literally broke my heart to see what they did at the very end. Every single character is ruined at the very end, every single one of them, and that is mostly to do with the lack of care and trying to rush it off so they could go do their own Star Wars film. And I think that is extremely disrespectful to the fans. And I know a lot of people think that the fans are being entitled and blah, blah, blah. But listen, who is paying for this? Who are they making these shows for if not for the public? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Like, they wouldn't, if people were not reacting to it or like giving their time and investing their time on these characters, they wouldn't have a public. So I don't think it's fair to say that the public is entitled. I just think that if you have 1.5 million people signing a petition, which everyone knows it's not actually, the point is not to remake, but it's just to press, to make a point that they're not happy with what they gave us. And by the way, I haven't signed a petition. If you have that many people signing on a petition saying that they hated the ending, you have to acknowledge that something went terribly wrong. And I feel that the actors knew all along. That's why they've been hinting on interviews. Last weekend I saw the behind the scenes people, the actors reading the script. It broke my heart into a million pieces when Kit finds out that he's about to kill Daenerys. You know, he broke down in tears, and I mean, rightfully so. I think that is so heartbreaking because that death, it's not earned. You know, like Jon Snow doing what he did there, it took him 10 minutes to be convinced by Tyrion to kill the love of his life. Jon Snow, the guy that actually created all these other alliances, drops the ball, and like, he's the one guy that would convince her to change, you know, especially when she tells him, let's do it together. You know, that's the open door for him to say, okay, so maybe I can change her mind, especially taking the fact that the war has finished right there, even though she said she was going to be doing other stuff, right? She said she was not going to stop, but that doesn't mean she was going to do it right away. That would give him time to change her mind, because like, this is just, I don't understand, like, this season is just a mess all over. Like, if you go back a couple of episodes, Daenerys tells Sansa that before I met Jon, my only goal was the throne, and now I'm here to help you. So that means that she was willing to do things for Jon. So Jon would be be the one person that would definitely be able to change her mind and change her ways. And they just rushed it all because, again, now you have to believe she's bad. Like, look how they dressed her. From the beginning of the show, she's all dressed in white, and then she goes dark like a Disney villain with wings and everything. It's just atrocious, and it makes me so sad and heartbroken because you've been invested on this series for like 8 years, watching these characters, loving these characters, and you just want a satisfying ending, an ending that is pleasing. I'm sure a lot of us knew it wasn't going to be a completely happy ending, but when George R. Martin said that he loved the end of The Lord of the Rings, the bittersweetness, or I thought, I was happy because I thought, I know The Lord of the Rings was bittersweet, but it was extremely satisfying. Every single character had a resolution, and it was so satisfying, and so I wasn't so worried. But then when after episode 3 and then 4 and then 5, I just couldn't believe what they were doing with the characters, how much they were rushing these storylines. It doesn't make any sense. Like, the whole plot line of turning Daenerys evil makes absolutely no sense. And don't get me wrong, like, if I look at the tragic hero storyline, I'm gonna use Star Wars as an example. Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, is one of my favorite characters, and he is the ultimate tragic hero. No, he was a hero, turned bad, redeemed himself. That's Anakin Skywalker. That storyline for Daenerys would have been super cool to watch if there was time to develop it. But to turn her into a maniac within one episode, and then the next one you have to believe that she's evil, it just doesn't make any sense. Every single character in Game of Thrones has always done bad things. The only difference is that she has a dragon, so that means that everything that she does that is bad, it's in a higher scale. But up to this moment, she has always been ruthless towards her enemies, not towards innocent people. In fact, she always defended the innocent people. And then you just want us to believe on the foreshadow. Okay, it was foreshadow. I mean, get the hell out of here. Like, you can totally see how not sophisticated the writing became on this season from those D&D guys, Dumb and Dumber, whatever you want to call him. Like, the main proof of that, it's how sidelined Jon was. And the reason why Jon was sidelined, because Jon was going to have to kill Daenerys, so they can't write something compelling for him because he needs to do the big death at the end. Not only that, look at the dialogue. Jon Snow, one of the biggest heroes, has 3 iconic lines throughout the entire season. I love you, you are my queen, I don't want it. Where is the dialogue between these characters? Where is the complexity? Where is all, it's like they completely forgot that Game of Thrones, like, people love Game of Thrones because of these characters' interactions, and now it's all about spectacle. And don't get me wrong, the cinematography is one of the most beautiful I've ever seen in TV. It's incredible. It's like watching a film. But to be honest with you, the story was so disgusting to watch that I couldn't even enjoy the cinematography. Usually I'm able to enjoy other aspects of it, but this time I just couldn't stop by feeling sorry for these actors. You could tell the acting was amazing, the cinematography was great, but the story just didn't make any sense. Like, towards the end, Daenerys did not seem like the same character. Jon did not seem like the same character. Tyrion did not seem like the same character. And Bran, is Bran evil now? What's the deal with Bran saying, "What do you think I came here for?" Couple of episodes ago, he just said that he couldn't be lord of anything. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's all over the place. Like, things that they start over here does not pay off over here because plot. Who cares? And it is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because, like I said, it's been 8 years of us being invested in these characters, and it's really sad. Even though I think George told them that Bran was supposed to be king, even though if that was the end game, that's fine. But I'm pretty sure you need some sort of a setup and better storytelling. You cannot just tell the audience, have Tyrion being in chains choose the king. This season was just a bunch of nonsense. Like, if you really think about the plot line, it doesn't make sense. Like, I think Daenerys and Jon were the probably the characters that got the worst of all. You know, Daenerys, for instance, was sabotaged every single step of the way by losing her dragon to go save Jon, then by losing half of her army, then by finding out that she lost the claim to the throne, then then Rhaegal dies in a stupid anticlimactic way, then Miss Sunday, which they don't even have a scene together, so what, it's just pointless. And all along, Bran knew about it. All along, Bran could have done something, and everything is just so pointless and so disappointing. Like, for instance, let's talk about the Aegon Targaryen thing. What is the point of Jon finding out that he's Aegon Targaryen if it doesn't have a payoff? What is the point that Bran pressing on Sam, he needs to know? Why? So he would create conflict with Dany and would eventually lead her to go nuts? Like, how does that make any sense? If Bran doesn't care about anything, if he's just about history and the past, why is he acting on that specific, like, how does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? Like, you know, if he hadn't told Jon would probably have married Daenerys happily ever after, and they would rule together, you know, or perhaps, I don't know, it's just, it doesn't make any sense, because it seems like he's been plotting the whole time to become king, manipulating Jon, Sansa manipulating Jon, Sansa betraying Jon, you know, think about it. I think it's great that she's queen at the very end, I don't have a problem with that, but she betrayed Jon and pretty much stole his crown. Now she's queen and he can't be king because, you know, he killed, and just let me talk a little bit about that killing scene. That to me was extremely disturbing. I thought that was so disgusting because it goes against what Jon Snow stands for. Like, you know, he's so honorable and he's kissing her and then he stabs her. Like, that's the most un-Jon Snow thing I've ever seen him do, you know. I believe that if he was really with the intention to kill her, he would have said so. He would have done it in a different way. And at the same time, it felt like these characters were acting in a theater inside their own stories. It didn't feel like they were the real characters, because I don't believe that Jon Snow would kill her within a 10-minute conversation with Tyrion, and he would not try to persuade her to be better, because that's what he does. Like, you look back all the way when he was, you know, undercover with the wildlings, all the good deeds that he did, all of that stuff took time. But the problem is that they didn't want to take the time to develop these characters. They just went with the rushed storyline, and it felt flat. So you look at Daenerys, one of the biggest characters of the show, right? One of the coolest characters that has dragons and did all these amazing things, dies in the most anticlimactic way. And it's not because of the act, it's just because the act itself is so unbelievable. Like, can you really believe that he would do that without, you know, or even the fact that she went bananas on the whole city, it still doesn't make sense if you really look at back. Like, it doesn't make sense. She is not a lunatic. The war was already won. Why would she go and kill? Why would she destroy the city that she's trying to rule? You know, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. Even when you go back to the books and you see the Mad King wanted to burn the city. For what reason? Because he already had lost the war. That's why. He knew he was going to lose it. That's why he wanted to burn it. But he was not thinking about burning the city while he was winning. That's why it doesn't make, it's a mess. It doesn't make any sense. Plot lines that, like, what about the horse? Think about Arya and the horse. You see her with the horse over here and you think there's some sort of meaning. The next scene on the next episode, the horse is gone and no one even brings it up. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Jon Snow is talking to Grey Worm over here and telling him, stop executing these people. Goes to meet Dany. When he walks up the stair, Grey Worm is already there. Like, can you see how much of a mess this episode was and how rushed it was? To me, I think Jon, it broke my heart to see what they did to Jon. You know, it really broke my heart, because Jon is the one guy that tries to bring the best in people, and especially when it's someone that he loved like that. And to make him the Queen Slayer now for the rest of his life. And not only that, I read an interview with Kit where he was talking about that thing, and basically that act destroys Jon forever. Like, he's a broken man forever. And he won't be able to get over the guilt of doing it, and also he's not even sure if he was meant to do it. You know, later on we see him asking Tyrion, was it right? Was he right? I mean, if you're not, like, are you seriously telling me that Jon Snow would kill someone that he loves without being 100% sure? You know? It doesn't make any sense. And what pisses me off the most is that Dany tells him, let's do it together. That is the open door for Jon Snow to say, okay, so if we're doing it together, you have to listen to me. Like, it just, that death scene was just useless. It was beautifully done. You know, I'm gonna say, when Drogo comes in, it was like the saddest thing to see a CGI character, you know, with his mom was the saddest thing in the show than all the other stuff, because everything is just so unbelievable. Like, it's just so unbelievable that they would change a character like this, flip like this, and expect you to just, she's bad now, guys, you know, she's bad now, and just blame it on foreshadow or bad genes. But just get the hell out of here. Seriously, this is the ultimate disrespect with the actor, with not the actors too, you know. I feel so bad for these actors because they had to actually do these scenes, you know. And it is really heartbreaking that they finished the series like this. I don't know what they had in their minds. Like, don't they want people to buy the Blu-ray? Don't they want people to go and rewatch these shows? Like, right now, this awful ending kind of destroyed the entire series for me, because, like, what's the point of you going and watch things that are not going to pay off? What's the point of Jon being an Aegon Targaryen? Like, I wanted to see Jon wearing like this. Look at him. Look how awesome he looks on the Targaryen outfit. Like, wouldn't it be awesome to see him ruling as a king, or ruling together with Dany, or I don't know, anything would have been better. I would have rather seen the Night King win the whole thing. I would have rather seen Dany die in battle than this kind of terrible ending. It just doesn't make any sense. And then you have that stupid meeting. Let's talk about that stupid meeting, right? To be honest with you, the show died when Jon killed Dany. Right there, it died right there, because it was so anticlimactic and it was so disgusting. And I was like, oh, they're making Jon do this. This is just disgusting. After that, I couldn't even care what happened next. I was just like, please end this, please. But then we go to that scene where Tyrion is supposed to be on trial, right? So Tyrion's on trial, and he decides who is going to be king, because Bran has the best. Like, how does that scene make any sense? All of those people that are there, why are they even there? Like, you know, why is Sam there? And then later on he becomes a maester. Like, it's a mess. It's a mess. And then Bran becomes king, right? And Yara just said a moment ago that she was loyal to Dany, and then everyone votes for Bran and she goes, aye. Like, how does that make any sense? And then we get to Sansa, right? And Sansa said, I love you, brother, but the North needs to be independent. I mean, are the writers even paying attention that Dorne and Yara, where is she from again? Her deal with Dany was that they were going to be independent, and Dorne also had a rebellion. Are they forgetting about all these details? Do they think they were so stupid that we're not going to catch on it? So why in the world would they be okay with Sansa going independent but not them? Like, I literally thought if all of them said, you know what, we all should be independent, that would make more sense than Bran bringing the king of the six kingdoms. It doesn't make any sense. And then we go to poor Jon, right? Jon is a mess. Like I said, he's broken for life. Forget it. Perhaps that's why he didn't even care taking the black, because putting a knife on Dany's heart was putting a knife on his heart. That was the end of Jon Snow right there. He's broken for life. And it just makes Jon look so stupid, because he was manipulated by everybody, including his brothers and sisters. You know, Sansa manipulated him, Bran manipulated him, you know, and, you know, the one person that actually loved him, he could have given her a chance, he goes and kills her. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. He takes the black and then he goes lead the wildlings north of the wall. So they don't really do a good job at explaining the role of the Night's Watch, but we can assume that now that there's no threat, it's basically just to protect people and to, you know, host, or not host, like it's a place where like the bastards and people that don't want to go to prison go there to pay their penitence for life, you know, to protect the realms of men, whatever that means right now. So he's basically, I've always assumed that that scene means that even though he took the black and he's like bounded to this vow, he does have some sort of freedom where he doesn't have to just stay at the wall because there's no White Walkers anymore, right? And are not in fight with the wildlings. But you can totally say on Kit's acting right there. I mean, I was like heartbroken. You see his face, even when he's petting Ghost, he's broken, man. He's broken for life. That destroyed him. And Kit said that in an interview too. That literally destroyed Jon. And I mean, is that the ending that he truly deserved? I mean, after killing Dany, how could they make him king? They could make him king, but I think he would have to live with the guilt for the rest of his life. He will. But then there's also another stupid scene. So they imply that Dany breaks the wheel, right? Does she? Does she really with Jon? Do they both break the wheel? Because now you have a bunch of guys, useless people sitting around the table deciding, talking about brothel instead of worrying about rebuilding a city. And then another interesting thing is that Bran walks in and then he talks about, ask about Drogon. Why does he care where Drogon went? And then he interrupts Sand when Sand said he was seeing flying east towards, and then before he finished, Bran kind of interrupts him and say, I'll try to find him, as if like they didn't want us to hear where exactly, because it could potentially be maybe somewhere in the future a sequel where it could be where Drogon took her to be resurrected somewhere. Volantis could it be, or could have just took her to Valyria to be buried somewhere. It could mean a lot of things, but I found that it was very interesting that Bran had to cut him off like that and not really let us know where exactly he took Dany or why was he there. So perhaps it is an idea for a future, but now HBO said they're not going to be doing a sequel because the backlash is pretty big. People are very pissed off. I'm just extremely disappointed and heartbroken, you know, because oh man, it destroyed the characters for me, really, really. Now, you know, even Tyrion, it was the smartest character, just became this stupid, dumbed down character. And then he becomes Handel the King, and then instead of getting like really smart people, he puts Bronn on the council. Well, what is going on here? And the jokes, right after Dany died, they're trying to make you laugh. Like, I didn't want to laugh. Like, I haven't even processed that you just killed one of the biggest character. Not only killed her, but you killed Jon as well in the process, you know, because now Jon, I mean, he kind of killed her in a coward way. Like, you know, it was, that was so disturbing in my opinion. It was very sad ending for all the characters, very sad ending, not satisfying at all. Bittersweet. What is bittersweet? Like, I don't see any sweet in there. Everything doesn't make any sense. Grey Worm is taking charge of the city. Can you explain to me why would he not murder Jon Snow right away when he found out that he killed Dany? Can you explain that to me? Why would he care about a council or all these people that he doesn't have an allegiance to? It doesn't make any sense. Plus, it would take them a long time, at least a couple of weeks, to get to King's Landing in order to form that. So that means that Jon has been in prison for at least 2 weeks, and you're gonna tell me that Grey Worm would not have executed him right away? Or not? What about the Dothraki? You know, the Blood Riders, you know? Isn't that when you kill the cow, you become the cow? Or even like you have to avenge the cow's death? Do you really want us to believe that Jon was going to stay in prison after murdering the queen that they were following? How does that make any sense? You know, even the fact that Drogon earlier on, like burning of course Drogon just burns the throne to bring some sort of like poetic ending. But dude, Game of Thrones was not only about spectacles, it was about these characters. It was a fantasy world that it was very believable. It was very believable because, again, it was about these characters' interactions, you know, it was about these relationships and these extremely complex stories. But, you know, I feel like these characters became so big, Jon and Dany and Cersei, that they just didn't know how to end it. They didn't know how to wrap it up. Perhaps it feels, this series, the season 8, feels like a checklist. Cersei dying, Dany dying, Jon going to the wall, Jon not being king, Bran, it feels like that. Checkpoints, because there's no process, there's no character development, and it's just, it's a disgrace. It's terrible. I feel so sad. Heartbroken. I don't think I can. I've been trying to go back and rewatch the ending, and I can't bring myself to watch it again. It was that heartbreaking, you know. But anyways, guys, those are my views on the disaster that was season 8. I did not want it to be doing this video. I did not want it to be feeling this disappointed. This is probably the biggest disappointment in a TV show that I have ever had, because of my investment in the characters and because of how long it's been around. It's truly sad. I don't know, what can they do? There's no fixing this, you know, there is definitely no fixing this. People are, Cersei, you know, it's kind of, they swapped Cersei's death to Dany's death, you know what I mean? Like, Cersei was the one that should have been, you know, killed by Jaime. That would have been pleasing. Or even if not, she should not have gone in such a stupid way. Cersei, another proof of another character that had, what, 3 lines throughout the entire season. One of the biggest character. They changing villains from episode 3 to episode 4 is Cersei, and then 5 is Dany. Like, are you kidding me? Like, if you go back to the Bolton's story, like, it took 2 seasons for them to establish these villains, and you want us to believe that Dany now it's crazy. You know, the same person that locked her dragons because he killed a child, the same person that crucified the masters because they crucified a bunch of kids, the same people that released the Unsullied and told them, kill the masters and harm no child and women. Remember that. You want us to believe that the same character that used to care about the innocent suddenly doesn't care anymore, just for plot reason. I just don't care anymore. Like, get the hell out of here, you know? You want us to believe that Jon Snow within 10 minutes is going to decide to kill the love of his life, because there is no chance there. There is no way I can persuade her. Even though episodes ago she just literally stopped going to fight to the throne to go fight his war all the way in the north. I mean, are you, just get out of here, you know? Deeply disappointed. Like I said, I can still appreciate some other episodes, like the Battle of the Bastards, some other really episodes that I enjoyed, but unfortunately the overall story, it kind of really killed the show for me, killed my enjoyment of Game of Thrones. I probably won't be talking about it for a while because it really hurts. This ending really hurts. But anyways, guys, that is the end of my video. Let's talk about it. You know, it's kind of therapeutic to talk about this mess, you know, share our ideas, and drop your comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.